taxes can be complicated, but they don't necessarily have to be, especially when you're prepared. Now, let me take you back to when my wife and I were first married. You see, we were young and eager to do what was right and to really get our lives started together on the right foot. So that meant filing taxes for the first time. And yes, it's kind of that rite of passage, the responsibility, everything that comes with it. And it should be simple enough, especially since the fact that we're newlyweds and that we really don't have much of income. But that's what we thought, that it really couldn't be that complicated, but it turned out to be. And what ended up happening was that we had filed our taxes as married filing jointly, and we took the deductions that we needed to, and we were really proud that we did taxes ourselves, but our parents had already claimed us as dependents. And that's got a little interesting when we were trying to figure out why we're basically being audited by the IRS. And so, since they were not happy, we needed to figure out the next steps and why it was that we were in call it tax limbo, and the confusion that came with it. Yes, it was pretty awkward for everyone just to kind of help figure these things out, but we did get it sorted out. But yes, it actually helped us learn a valuable lesson. Taxes aren't something to take lightly, and there are some complications to taxes. There's a lot of rules, there's some exceptions, and there's some fine print. And it can be, even with your best intentions, that you can get it wrong. But that experience stuck with me, and it helped shape the approach that I take with taxes and all the planning that we do here as a whole. Because you see, here's the truth, that taxes aren't just a once-a-year headache. It's a tool that we can look at. And if you understand how taxes work, and you can really then help them to make your life a little bit better, because you can make taxes work for you. And in 2025, with all the changes in there, and potentially ones on the horizons, it's never been a better time to sharpen your strategy for taxes. And that is what we are really good at, trying to figure out those little nuances. So whether you're a business owner, a retiree, or you just have what we call a lot of just assets that are there that you're looking to use for income sources, this is really what we want to explore today and navigate these changes and really learn from, say, my early mistakes of filing taxes incorrectly and using that tax code to your ability. Now, what changes are coming in 2025? Not quite as many this year as what there potentially could be next year. But if we take a look at the rolling adjustments that are there are some minor tweaks. And this is really something that is significant for you. So the standard deduction, for example, gets a bump. And married filing jointly can now claim $30,000 in deductions, which is up $800 from last year. If you're single, it's $15,000, which is about a $400 increase. And while this may not seem like a lot, it really is something that if you combine those with some of the other tax strategies, they can add up quite fast. Now, here's where it comes back down to the tax brackets then. And there are 7 tax brackets, 10%, 12%, all the way up to the 37% bracket. And they remain unchanged, but the income thresholds, the income that's within those brackets, has shifted and made some adjustments for inflation. So whether you're single in the 12% bracket, it's now up to about $48,475. If you're married filing jointly, it's $96,950. And these adjustments can have a real impact on your income and where you fall and how much you pay in taxes. Now, here's the catch though, that just like when I filed taxes for the first time and just the headache and the debacle that was, it's not enough to know that the rules exist. You have to know how to apply them. So let me give you an example here. If you're on the edge of one of those brackets, making a few minor changes or what you call strategic moves before the tax year ends can actually start to increase your ability to save on taxes. So maybe you put more into your retirement contributions or defer some income. And that alone could actually help you save thousands of dollars in taxes. So if you're a business owner, leveraging these deductions, like the qualified business income deduction that's extended through 2025, and it could be something now that we see permanent, possibly starting in 2026, that could be something that we can really look to. And we don't know about all the details yet for next year, but for this year, we can take a look at the rules in place, figure out how to play the game better. So knowing all these rules can actually make the difference in saving money or making sure we don't leave that money on the table. So yeah, when my wife and I were newlyweds and the taxes were a big deal, even though we didn't make a lot, it seemed like a big deal at the time. We can take a look at it and we can really ask that question that we're all thinking about. How can we do better this year and next year? Yes, we didn't consult anyone at the time to double check our work, but maybe that's something that you need to do. Maybe we need to have a second opinion on your taxes, just the same way we do with the wealth plans and your estate plans and others. The IRS doesn't reward you for blind optimism. They reward you for getting it correct and applying the principles that they have come out with. So for example here, as we take a look at 2025, we've talked about the deductions, we've talked about the brackets. Capital gains are another element to that. We have the three tiers, the 0%, the 15%, and the 20%. And this really depends on your income. If you're married filing jointly, your income, if it stays below the $96,700, well, you do not pay any capital gains when you sell some of those assets. But once we move the threshold, now we start going into that 15% bucket. And that goes all the way up to about $600,000 before we get into the 20% bracket, plus the additional 3.8% net investment income tax. And now you can see that this is where having a strategy can really come in handy. And if we sell some assets, we need to make sure that we are selling them with the correct time. And if you need to stagger sales over the next couple of years in order to stay below those thresholds, it can actually save you many thousands of dollars. So you understand this, especially if you're retired, of how Social Security income, pensions, how they interact with the brackets, and it all makes a huge difference for your tax liability. And that is an area to watch for going forward for this year, for 2025, but also for different elements like business depreciation and the bonus depreciations that are there that make changes. For you as a business owner, planning for equipment or upgrades or any other aspects that help you to get some of those deductions may just be the difference between your bracket and what it means and what you're ultimately paying taxes for. So yes, I realize that the tax mishaps that happen, they can happen to anyone just like they happened to me. And it was one of those valuable financial lessons, I would say, that you don't need to wait for the IRS or anyone else to tell you if you owe money. You can be proactive, you can be prepared. And when you come ahead on everything, when you're taking a look at this, you can look at your taxes and say, it's not a burden then, it's a tool. And if you understand the system, you can use it to your advantage. And that's where things like the alternative minimum tax, it gets a bad rap, and rightly so. We don't really want to have to pay AMT, but if we know what triggers it and where the phase outs happen, then we can again start applying correctly. And those are the elements that we can look at. It's not just about minimizing or aligning taxes with your goals. It's more than that. It's especially for you if you're retired already. It's the strategically withdrawing different elements. Do we take from the IRAs, or do we take from the Roth IRAs, or do we actually say this year, next year can change, but this year we need to take more from those highly appreciated assets? And that would be how we could lower the taxes this year. Well, if you're a business owner, maybe it's taking advantage of the qualified business income or putting more money away into the retirement plans. And you can see how all of these pieces fit together. And it's just about looking at the different taxes, being prepared, and then working with a professional that knows the ins and outs of the tax code. So sure, you can file your taxes yourself, you can do all of this yourself, or you can actually have someone to help you, someone who's in your corner and can see the big picture and who actually works with the other people that speak into your financial life. That's what it's all about, and making sure that you're taken care of and prepared, so you don't have the tax mishaps, especially even though mine was small and minor at the time, those can all happen, and it can be painful. The more and the bigger it gets, that's really what this is. Talking about the preparedness, the attention to details, and then getting the help to have a second opinion on them. And looking forward for 2025, the lessons that you can learn from last year and the years before can come through, and we can look at this together and the opportunities together to build a stronger financial future for you. And whether it's maximizing the deductions, capital gains, business incentives, all of that, that's all about being proactive. And yes, it can be overwhelming, but that's where we're here for you. So if you want to take a look at the preparedness that you need to be for 2025 and all the different ways that we can be looking at taxes and correctly working with your financial plan, we love to meet with you. So this is where we can schedule time and create a strategy together. And for you watching this video, we're offering a complimentary consultation. Whether you're a business owner, whether you have just retired, or you simply need someone just to take a look over your wealth plan that you've had already and figure out some of the complexities and help bring some clarity. That's what we're here for. So feel free to reach out, like this video so others may find us. And remember, taxes might be serious business, but there's always room for a little humor along the way. That's what it's for. So have a great day and a great start to 2025.